Students, and welcome to the class. You need to go to the website. You need to select maths as your subject, and this is a grade 7 maths lesson. The name of the topic for today is data and graphs. I'll give you the chapter number and the lesson number. The chapter number for today is 23 and the lesson number is 7. Chapter number 23, lesson number 7, and the name of the lesson is create bar graphs. So with the given information, we will try to see what kind of bar graphs can we create. Okay, let's go to the topic. So we're on the website, maths, grade 7, chapter number 23, data and graphs, and lesson number 7. Okay, so the question we have, it says, just a moment. The employees at a clearance construction monitor the number of cracked windows. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so if this question is given to us, okay, and we need to create a bar histogram or a bar graph. We're creating a histogram. Okay, so the question says the employees at a clearance construction monitor the number of cracked window panes. They're monitoring the number of cracked window panes in each shipment they received. Okay, use the data in the table to complete the histogram below. Let's see, a histogram would be given to us as per the question statement. Okay, the histogram given to us is this. Okay, we need to remember that there's a difference between a histogram and a bar graph. Okay, the difference you'll find is that a histogram would, the bars will never have gaps in between the histogram. Okay, so it's given as number of cracked window panes, that is 0 to 19, 20 to 39, 40 to 59. This is 60 to 79, 80 to 99, right? This was 20 to 39, and this was 0 to 19. So 0 to 19 would mean that there between 0 to 19 would be 20. This is known as the frequency. Frequency is meant, it shows us how many times this is happening. Okay, so what we can see over here is we plot the vertical axis at the number of shipments, okay, or the frequency. On the horizontal axis, we have number of cracked window panes. Agreed? The first is for the x, the second value is always for the y. Okay, y-axis. That means 0 to 19 was 20. Then 20 to 39 was 50. This was 10. This was 40. And this was given as 50. So we need to complete the bar graph over here. All we need to do is, but we need to, between 89 and 99, we just need to complete this bar, and we say this is a complete histogram. In histogram, the bars will not have a gap in between them. Okay? Okay, let's see if they're asking us to find some information from here. Okay, no, a question is not given. We just needed to construct the histogram, right? Okay, just a moment, please. Okay. The next question says, we're just comparing histograms and bar graphs over here, okay? The next question says, at a summer carnival, uh, okay. For the next question, it says, just a moment, please. Okay. This was given to us, question number 2. And in question number 2, the information says, at the summer carnival, each member of the O'Connor family played around a beanbag toss, right? So cousin Susan had 50 hits and misses, right? So we have the hit and miss for each of the person. Like 4 people in the family played the game, and we have either they're hitting it or they're missing it. What happens in a bar graph is that when you have a bar graph, I'll try to erase it, some values, and we'll try to plot it again, okay? Or let's say, let's make it from the scratch. We create our own, okay? So what happens is the first thing we need to do is we need to create a key. We need to create a color code, okay? So let's suppose if we say, if we are doing with the blue, a blue box would mean it is a hit, okay? Let's suppose an orange box would mean it was a miss. Okay, let's see what is the, when we are drawing the graph, we have to find the maximum and the minimum number. The maximum number of hits were 100 and the misses were 90, right? So what we do is we draw a horizontal axis and we draw a vertical axis over here. On the vertical axis, the maximum value can be 100, okay? So if we take this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 can be the maximum possible value. And what does it represent? It represents the number of tosses that we have been, right? So the vertical axis represents the tosses. What about the horizontal axis? The horizontal axis will represent each cousin, right? So the cousin Susan, let's suppose, let's go for the cousin Susan. Susan, how many hits were there? Susan had 50 hits, right? And how many misses did she have? She had 60. She missed 60 times. So what we can say over here is this is for cousin Susan. Okay. Now we look for the next one. Uncle Drew had 50 hits. And Uncle Drew had how many losses? How many misses? He had 90 missed values, right? So we're just doing an approximate over here. Okay, I'll just try to show that this is a 90, this was a 60, okay? This was Uncle Drew, agreed? Then we had Aunt Betty. Aunt Betty did 100, agreed? Aunt Betty hit 100 times, whereas how many times did she miss? She missed 60 times. So we can say these two bars are for Aunt Betty. Okay, this is very important. This information is very important because it shows us what exactly each bar is representing. Okay, then we have cousin Chris. The cousin Chris would have how many? 50. The cousin Chris had 50. Okay, I can show this 50 by these dots, that these values are 50, right? These are not joined. These are simply dots to show that this is 50. And cousin Chris had how many missed shots? He had 80 missed shots. Agreed? Let's go down a little. Okay. So I can show that this is an 80. Okay. And the name would be cousin Chris. We can leave them like this, or since we made slashes over here, so we can put slashes just to represent the information of the bar. Okay. So this is a bar graph, and the first bar graph that we drew, that, okay, just a moment. Let me complete this, then I'll just compare. Okay, the difference between these two graphs would be that a histogram, this was a histogram, right? No gaps, no gaps between bars, okay? But in a bar graph, this horizontal axis was the name of the person, agreed? And this was the tossed. This is a bar graph, and the bars can have gaps between them, okay? Do we agree that we have drawn a bar graph from the given information? Let's move ahead with the next question. Okay, in the next question, some partial information is given to us. Okay, I'll just try. A hardware store monitored how many hammers it's sold in the past few days. Just a moment, please. Let me copy. Okay. For question number 3, if this information is given to us, let's launch. Okay. This is our question number 3 for the bar graph. Okay. They are saying use the data in the table to complete a bar graph. Okay. What we can do is okay, some partial bar graph is given to us. We'll complete this graph, and then we will see how the axis can be changed as well. Okay. We will have a similar graph. So if this is given to us, this information is already given to us. Okay. What they're saying is on a Sunday, 100 hammers were sold, right? It should be 100. Monday, there were 20. Okay. Monday was just 20. And so on. 50, 30. And Thursday was 40. So for a Thursday, what we can do is we can show a bar over here that represents a 40. Agreed? Simple. This is how we complete it. But if we wanted to change the axis, let's suppose, then the vertical axis will have a count till 100, right? And the horizontal axis will have these days, 5 days. So we can say this was 10, 20. If it's already given to us, we follow the rule because the first value is always for the days would come on the x-axis and the number of hammers will come on the vertical axis, but they change the axis. So if the examiner changes the axis, we do not change it in the question. But if we are meant to make it ourselves, then we can change it, okay? So what we can say for a Thursday, on a given Sunday, the count was 100, right? We can say this was a Sunday. Agreed? Then we have the next day was, we can fill in the color. So the next day was Monday. Monday had a height of 2. We can say, sorry, 20. We can say this is Monday. Okay. Tuesday would be 50. This is Tuesday for us. Wednesday is 30. Wednesday would be 30. And finally, Thursday is 40. See, what we can do is we can show it by dotted lines that these are the values. And the last value would be a 40. We can say this is the last bar and this bar represents Thursday. Agreed? So we can follow the rule. We can say this was the horizontal axis and frequency was the vertical axis, right? Or if the question is given to us, the difference of axis, then we follow the question. Then we give this as the answer. Okay, then we make this bar as the answer. So either ways, we can draw the bar graph, and the bar graphs will have spaces between bars. Okay, we need to remember that in a bar graph we can keep spaces between bars. Okay, like question number 2, like question number 3. Let's move ahead to the next question. Okay, I'll prefer doing the question such that partial of the question is given to us and we'll try to complete it. Okay, so the next question says an interior designer is there. A bar graph is usually used when we are trying to compare one or two, more than one value for a given person or given entity, right? So let's suppose in this particular question, what they are saying is a designer wrote down the prices of various items, right, at several wholesale furniture dealers. This is our question number 4. So this is the name of the company. We are comparing the prices of couch and the tables, right? So each company, the furniture discounters, 2 products, couches and more, the same 2 products, right? So when we are comparing different products from different places, right? So we do this bar graph. The partial of the bar graph is given to us. We'll just try to complete the graph. Okay. And then we will see if we can make a question out of it. Okay. So the given bar graph is this information. This is the information that has been already given to us, showing us the bar graph. Okay, what they are saying is when furniture discounters were there, the couch was 50 and the table was 60. That means the table was 60, right? So we can simply say this is the graph for this missing part. Agreed? And the remaining part of the graph was already drawn for us, because for couches and more, it was 60 and 70. This is 60, this is 70. For walkers furniture, this was 50 and 80. And designers furnishings would be 60 and 60. Okay, 50 and 60. Okay, what they can give us is, as a question is, they can ask us to compare the prices. Okay, and let me make a question out of this. Okay, the question might say, find the maximum price difference for a table. So that we know that the second column was for the table, right? That means this could be 60, this was 70, 80, and 60. So maximum difference would mean the maximum price minus the minimum price, the cheapest, right? The most expensive minus the cheapest. The most expensive was $80 and the minimum price was $60. That means $2 is the maximum price, $20 is the maximum price difference that we can find between these four stores when we're looking for a table, right? So from the given information, depending on the question, they can ask us to find different variables and different questions, okay? So we would follow the question they've been asking us. So in this case, they were not asking us any particular, we added one part to it, okay? So we try to add a part, a question or two to each question that we would do on from now onwards. So the next question says, I'm moving to question number 5. The next question says, a food industry researcher compiled the revenues generated by several pizza shops, right? This is our question number 5. Pizzerias, right? Big Cheese, New York Slice, Dan Deep Dish, okay? If the vegetarian pizza cost, supreme pizza cost is given to us. And what they're asking us is a bar graph has been provided to us. We need to complete the bar graph. Sometimes we need to draw it. Sometimes we need to complete the information. So in this particular case, we know that the vegetarian pizza sales and the supreme pizza sales are given over here. So the Big Cheese, the sales was 50, 100 and 100. This was 50, this should be 100 and this should be 100, right? Whereas supreme was 90, 80 and 80. So we are missing a bar in the middle. We simply draw the bar. Okay, we can draw the bar and we can shade the same color. If we are using a color, we will always use the same color as it is used in the other bars. This is a complete bar graph. Okay. What they can do is that we can find the total sales, or they can ask us which pizza for New York Slice restaurant. They were like, people chose which pizza in New York Slice, right? This area. So we would compare the sales prices and then we will see. Okay. We can, because it's a revenue based, right? It's not a menu based, it's a revenue based, so we can find which pizza had most choices, right? Which, what people like more, vegetarian or the supreme. Okay, let's move ahead. For the next question, it says, just a moment please. Jonathan noted down how many baskets he made, okay, while playing basketball. If this information is given for Jonathan, okay, this is our question number 6. That's saying Jonathan jotted down how many baskets he made during the basketball practice each day. Okay. So the days are given: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We are considering 4 days and we're considering the baskets. The first one was 70, 20, 80, and 60. So we can say on Monday he did 20 baskets. On Tuesday, he scored 80. On a Wednesday, he scored a 60. What about Monday? Monday was 70. So we can say that on a given Monday, he scored 70 baskets. Okay, so this is a complete bar graph. We need to remember the vertical will have a labeling and the horizontal will also have a labeling. Agreed? So let's see what we can do in the next question. Okay, moving ahead. Just a moment, please. Okay. The next question states that, let me just copy that. Any questions up till now? Do we have any questions? If there are any questions, kindly let me know so that I may answer them first. Okay, right now we are not, I just gave you an example or two how to find the information, right? But our main focus is not finding the information, because the chapter says creating bar graphs, okay? So our focus would be how to create a bar graph from the information that has been provided to us. Okay. If this is a bar graph given to us in this question, we did question number 6. This is our question number 7. A family beach day, the Lambury Creation Department offered a range of activities. The activities given are swimming, eating lunch, and walking. There were parents, different number of parents and different number of children. For swimming, 100 parents opted. For swimming, 90 children opted. For eating lunch, 50 people wanted to eat lunch. Okay, I need to explain this. What is this? What happens is we cannot see 10, 20, 30, 40, right? What they do is they compress the graph, because otherwise we would have to make from 10, 20, 30, 40. Then we begin with the graph 50 onwards, right? So once they've compressed the graph, we will see that if the initial value is 50, that means the minimum value is 50 for the answers. We will not have any value that is less than 50. This is known as compressing a graph, right? We can draw from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 till 100, or we compress the graph sometimes, right? Then it's a 90 for eating lunch. For children, walking parents were 80, and the children who participated for walking were 50. The key is always given to us. The key is very important. The key represents which color represents which answer. For a parent, they're using an orange. Okay, how many parents were there for swimming? There were a total of 100 parents. Agreed? There were a total of 100 parents, and this is our bar graph that has been completed, which is showing us the information. If the question would say, part A, how many parents participated? So what should be the answer? If I'm saying how many parents participated, see, what am I not saying is whether it has to be swimming, it has to be eating, or it has to be walking. All I'm saying is how many parents were there who participated. So we can say the number of parents would be equals to the number of parents swimming, that was 100. The parents who were eating lunch, that was 50. The parents who were walking, that would mean 150 plus 80 is 230 parents. Agreed? Or they can say, part B, how many more children were interested in eating lunch as compared to the parents. Okay, so what we can see for eating lunch, there were 50 parents and 90 children. That we can say. We can write the statement as there were 40 more children interested in eating lunch when compared to the parents, right? We can write a complete statement, we can give a partial statement explaining the answer. Okay, let's compare the next question. The next question says, for the given information, the aquarium sold 100 tickets on Monday, different number of tickets being sold on different number of days. And we need to use this information. In this case, the information is not given in the form of a bar. Okay, when I say the information is given in the form of a bar, I'm speaking about this bar or this grid. For the question number 8, the information is given in form of a sentence structure. Okay, so they're just telling us in terms of statements that what exactly is happening over here. Okay, so just a moment, please. So Why is it not selecting? Yeah, it's selecting, just a moment. So this was our question number 8. It says aquarium sold 100 tickets on Monday, 80 tickets on Tuesday, 90 tickets on Wednesday, and 60 tickets on Thursday. So simple. They sold how many on Thursday? 60. How many on Wednesday? We can see over from here also that is 90, right? The horizontal bars we are using this time. It does not make any difference because there is a single quantity also, right? And these were 80 and this was 100. So simply what we need to do is we need to make a bar, right? That would show us the information. That means we fill it till 100. We simply write 100 for our information and the bar graph is completed. The bar graph will always have a gap between each bars. Remember that. And a histogram will never have a gap. We will do histograms later, but we are just keeping that in mind. A bar graph will have spaces between bars. Okay, if we look at the next question, the question number 9 given to us gives us this information. This is our question number 9. It says, preparation for graduation. Some teachers and students volunteered for various graduation committees. There's some want to work in the food, some want to do in the program, some want to do the decor, right? These are the number of teachers for each, and these are the number of students for each. So for food, they were, and we can see the bar has been compressed, 60 teachers, because the key is being because the key is already provided to us, the color key. We call it key as well. Okay. So there were 60 teachers who opted to work and volunteer for food, 80 students. Then 80 teachers for conducting the program, 60 students for conducting the program. Decorations was 90, right? 90 teachers. That means 90 teachers volunteered for, well, let's take a lighter color. Okay, that means there were 90 teachers who volunteered for this and there were 50 students who won. So as per the given information, we can say that the bar graph is completed, right? And they're not asking us to utilize this bar graph for the information. They can ask us how many total teachers are there. We add 60 plus 80 plus 90, right? 150 plus 80, 230. There would be 230 teachers and 140 and 190, I think. 190 students, right? 80 plus 60 is 140, 140 plus 50 is 190. Okay. So let's do another question. And let's say for the given information, let's try to complete. A chef made 80 pizzas. It shows us the number of pizzas made per day. After this question, we'll do a few questions from the test. Trying to do more questions because we just need to complete the bar, okay? For the question number 10, It says 80 pizzas on Monday. The height should be 80. Agreed. 70 pizzas on Tuesday. The height should be 70. 70 on Wednesday. And 20 on Friday. Right? So how many pizzas were there on Thursday? On a Thursday, there were 80. That means we can create a bar and the height has to be 80. Is it 80 or 70? Yes, this is 80, right? And we can simply shade this part. We can always use a lighter color. Okay. And we can say this height was 80. Agreed? So we have already completed the bar graph over here. Because the bars have a gap between them. Okay. So let's go to the quiz. Let's do the test. Let's do a question or two from the test and let's see which option can be the correct. Okay. This was grade 7. Let me just go back. Grade 7, 23. Chapter number 23, lesson number 7. Okay. So the test would give us, I'll do a few questions from here. The sequence of the question changes when each and every person would log in, right? So I would have a different sequence. You can have a different sequence. So the first question from the test says, the information provided, Jeff times was 50, Clara's, the running time is given for 3 people. Okay. So for this question, this is our question number 1 from the test. So Jeff's time was 50 minutes, right? Clara's time was 20 minutes. And Tim's time was 30 minutes, right? It should be 30. Let's see which graph is the correct answer. If we have been given 2 options, option A and option B, we just need to select which option is the correct answer. Okay. If these 2 graphs were given to us, just a moment. Okay. If this is option number A and option number B, we see this was 50, agreed. This was 50, agreed. The next one was 20. This is clear. Okay, when we are looking at the option, we would have to check all 3. This was 30. No, this is 20. This has to be 30. That means option B is the correct answer. Agreed? That means when we draw the graph, this has to be this. Till 30. One more than 20. One box more. Okay? So option B was the correct answer. So we only had to choose between the given values. Moving to the next question. The next question says, a family beach day is given to us. We just did a similar question. Maybe the values are different over here. We'll just compare. Question number 2. The question number 2 says, at a family beach day, these are the activities that are being done by the different family members. Just a moment. Let's look at the answers. And the answer says that if we have these 2 given options for us, we need to find the option that is more feasible. Okay. So which of these 2 options do we find more feasible? Let's have a look. We can say this, let's highlight this option A and option B. Let's try to pick the final answer. So we say that this was 90, this was 50. I'm just finding the values from here. This was 90, this was 80, and this was 50, right? So we can say this has to be 90, This has to be 50. This has to be 90, 80, and 50. Is it 90, 50, 90, 80, and 50, right? That's clear. For the last bar, there were 100 parents. How many parents does it show? It shows 90. It shows 100. So option B is the correct answer. Why? Because the total number of parents is 100. Agreed? There should be 100 parents. Do we agree on that? So we can simply say option B is the correct answer. Just click on the correct option, okay? Uh, Please do complete the remaining questions. Very easy questions, and we have around 20 questions. Just click on the correct answer and move on, right? Thank you so much. Best of luck. Have a nice day.